Recently I've been thinking a lot about controversial people in our times and how they happen to remain relevant. I've also been trying to figure out some things that I can learn or unlearn from them and add to my personal life. Depending on how this video is received, I'm thinking of making a series of these types of videos where I just share things I learned from observing powerful or controversial people or just people in general. As you might have seen from the title of this video, today I'm talking about Andrew Tate. How many of you would agree with me when I say Andrew Tate is one of the most controversial people we know on the internet today? And personally, I often disagree with like 60% of the things he says. You might know him for some of his teachings deemed highly misogynistic. Despite this, there are a handful of people, you might be one of them, who are fans of him and totally agree with his view on the world. This is totally fine because everyone is entitled to their opinion, and no one can take that from them. However, whether you love him or hate him, you cannot deny that there are some definitely interesting things about him, some things that one could even learn to imbibe in one's life. I really need you to stay to the end of this video to be able to make sense of any of these. I think that for us to be able to learn a few things about this man, we should talk a little bit about his backstory. It all started in 1986 when Andrew Tate was born to his parents. His father, Andrew Tate II, was an American chess master, and his mother Eileen was a catering assistant. His parents got divorced in 1997 when he was about 13. Given how important this age is to the forming of human behavior and unique characteristics, one can say his parents' divorce must have had some impact on who he turned out to become. After the divorce of his parents, Andrew and sister lived with their mother in Luton, England. Since this story is mostly about Andrew, many parts where his brother and sister come into the picture might not be talked about. I'll be focusing more on Andrew as the center of our story. The relationship between him and his mother isn't exactly clear from what is available on the internet. You might like to call it a complex one. In one interview, Andrew Tate has been seen declaring admiration for his mother and talking about how he sends money to her every time and how she's proud of who he has become. On the other hand, there have been tweets in which he has described his father as a genius, while his mother he described as someone who only provided meals and kept the house clean. This, of course, is not entirely shocking coming from him, but this might probably hint the type of relationship Andrew Tate must have had with his mother, or at least how he saw her. Living with his mother in Luton, they experienced financial issues, with Andrew himself taking menial jobs like working on a fish stall and selling windows and solar panels. This can help you picture, at least a little bit, the relationship Andrew had with money even from his early days. Soon, he ventured into martial arts, and his kickboxing career quickly took off with him winning the British ISKA Full Contact Cruiserweight Championship in 2009. Overall, he had a successful career as far as martial art was concerned, with a record of 31 wins across several weight divisions and multiple tournaments. With his success in martial arts, Andrew quickly started transitioning into business and fame. Many might say this was the beginning of the top era. He ventured into several businesses with his brother, including an adult webcam model business that later expanded into online courses. This birthed the Hustlers University, which has now been rebranded to The Real World. Across all these hustles, Andrew and his brother were quickly able to amass a ridiculous amount of wealth. For example, their adult webcam business was reportedly making $800,000 monthly. The Hustlers University didn't perform badly either, over 100,000 subscribers, an estimation of nearly $6 million monthly. Also keep in mind that he was involved in the casino business even till now. He had also been involved very recently in cryptocurrency. Personally, I think his involvements in crypto is a controversial one, as it would take a lot of proof to convince me that this is not mostly a rug pull scheme. No doubt, he is very successful. In all this, not only had he managed to rack up influence and controversy on social media, he had also gotten into a lot of legal issues. In 2023, Andrew and his brother, along with 2 Romanian women, were indicted on charges of rape, human trafficking, and organized exploitation of women. In fact, in August 2023, his charges were expanded to include trafficking minors, money laundering, sexual involvement with a minor, and attempting to influence witnesses. Many of the charges also included his brother, since they did almost everything together. Despite all these charges, they keep maintaining their stance on their innocence. Yeah, that's a whole lot. Somehow Andrew Tate and his brother keep waxing stronger despite all these controversies online and offline. Now that we have a slight idea of what his backstory is, let's go back to making the point in this video. If I were to ask you, what 2 things do you think Andrew had that made him stand out and probably helped him amass the level of wealth he has today? What would your answer be? Take a minute to think about it. It did take me a few days of reading a lot about him and thinking to figure this out. In fact, it took me so much time because I was thinking this thing would be very obscure and deeply special, but I was wrong. See, in my opinion, these 2 characteristics are things you've been taught since probably 2nd grade. It is extremely simple. Well, not simple to implement, but it's quite simple to point out. Okay, so self-confidence and self-discipline. You might not fully understand how improving your self-confidence and self-discipline can change your life quickly, regardless of what you do. Remember how we talked earlier about how Andrew Tate sold windows and solar panels? Surely he must have had some persuasive abilities to succeed in this. Also, remember that part of his business adventures was the Hustle University, which was simply people paying money to him to be coached on how to improve their businesses and their mindset. So needless to say, this guy has something going on for him in these two aspects. Self-confidence and self-discipline are two different things, but are interrelated and not very far-fetched from each other. For the sake of this video, I would talk about them mostly together. You see, self-confidence often stems from positive results seen after implementing self-discipline. Self-discipline simply is just the ability to consistently follow routines and set goals. That's it, it's not any complicated than that. If you can consistently set goals and routines for yourself and religiously keep to them, especially when it's inconvenient to do so, then we can say that you have built self-discipline. This could be in totally any area. Your set routine could be to read at least 2 pages of a self-development book, or to make your bed every day immediately you wake up. When you start setting goals and routines for yourself and consistently keep to them, you start to see compounding results. With consistent results, you start to develop a mindset that, I'm not so terrible at things. For example, when you set a goal to visit the gym at least 4 days a week, and you keep to it consistently for 3 months, you might start to develop confidence in your abilities. So really, self-confidence stems mostly from self-discipline. But keep at the back of your mind, Rome was not built in one day, and that building self-discipline and self-confidence takes time and consistency. Here is the single thing you need to take away from this video. Start setting goals today. Doesn't matter how small the goals are. Remember, your aim is to get as much compounding sense of fulfillment as possible. Succeeding at a lot of small tasks can be better than failing at a few complex tasks. Take, for example, 2 different people, Sam and Tom. These guys are both starting out in the journey of trying to build their self-discipline and self-confidence. Say they watched a video and learned that they need to start setting goals. Let's look at how these 2 guys approach their goal setting. Sam, on one hand, has chosen to set 5 goals. First, he wants to read 5 books this month. Next, he plans to save 70% of his monthly earnings. Next, he wants to buy a $35,000 car in the next 2 months. Sam also plans on working out 3 hours, 5 days a week. And finally, he wants to build the habit of reaching out to his loved ones at least once a week. Now let's take a look at Tom's goals. Tom's first goal is to improve his daily waking time. His plan is to now wake at 6 a.m. every day instead of 7 in the morning. Next, Tom wants to read 2 pages of a book every morning. His third goal is to work on his side hustle as a social media manager. His final goal is to eat less fast food in the next few months. Which of these guys do you think would be happier after 3 months? Sam has set unrealistic goals that, in fact, contradict each other. For example, saving 70% of his income and trying to buy a car is almost impossible, except he's making upwards of $80 monthly. Also, trying to work out 5 times a week for someone weak who has never been in the gym is a very long shot, and it is extremely unsustainable. He would probably succeed in the first week, but would most likely fail to keep this up for 3 months. The same logic is applicable to Sam trying to read 5 books a month. It is nearly impossible for someone who has never picked up a book to read to suddenly motivate himself into reading 5 monthly. Looking at Tom, on the other hand, his goals are small and realistic. He has more control over them and can tackle them with less friction, even on the days of low motivation. For example, improving his wake time daily isn't a big leap from what is already in place. Waking up at 6 a.m. when you already wake up by 7 a.m. is a reasonable goal. Since Tom has never been a reader before now, it makes sense for him to set his reading goal to 2 pages per day. This is relatively easier than saying from the start that he's going to read 5 books every month, like Sam. I hope you can paint a picture of what I'm trying to say. Your goals need to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. With discipline, applying this little building block in your life can totally transform your life by giving you results that build your self-confidence. If you've really learned something from this video and are ready to start implementing the change your life needs to see, go into the comment section and type in one small goal that you're going to start working on today, not tomorrow, today.